changes or confirmations of just how you felt after Sunday when reviewing the film and going through it?
We gave up way too many open looks. Defensively, didn't get enough deflections, didn't take them out of their rhythm. Um, so, yeah, it was kind of what I thought. Watching the game, I thought, a lot of our turnovers led to easy buckets for them or took away opportunities for us to score. So there wasn't too much I missed. So a little disappointed, that we just weren't up more defensively, let them get into a rhythm, and allowed them to be way too comfortable.
Are these some things that where I guess where you have a standard, of course, then like where's the threshold, I guess, of what's tolerable because it's November and early December versus this just can't happen because we got older guys, no matter if they're first year guys, whatever. Like where's that line?
We just got to get better in all facets of the game. We kind of skated around in some close games, and we're fortunate. So we've just got to get better. Our blockout rates are not what they should be. I mentioned the deflections that we monitor weren't anywhere close to what they needed to be against UCLA. So our turnovers were really bad against UCLA, and some of that's UCLA's defense, or good defense, but some of it we just made poor decisions, just trying to drive against a set defense. A couple passes in the open court, one-handed passes, just fundamentally not sound. So you hope that those things, guys will pay attention to detail and clean some of that up. But we've got to get better. There's no doubt about it. Talk to the team about that. We've got 2 weeks here. We had 2 good practices on Tuesday and Wednesday. Finals week this week. Yesterday was a real busy day trying to take care of some business academically, so we didn't practice yesterday, but we'll go today and tomorrow and hopefully be ready at 3 o'clock on Sunday.
You mentioned it, but the next 3 weeks, 24 days, you only play 3 games. How critical of a stretch is this going to be for the development there of this team?
These 2 weeks are really important because we have a lot of practice time. The guys will go home for 4 days for Christmas, and then we'll bring them back and get ready for Weber before we open up conference play, or all of our conference games come, 18 of them. So no, the next 2 weeks I told them, we got to get better, and I was pleased with the practice Tuesday and Wednesday. I hope to be pleased with today's and tomorrow's so that we are ready Sunday against a very physical Stephen F. Austin team that really gets after people defensively. And then we have, 6 days to prepare for Stanford, who's played awfully well. So, no, it's these next 2 weeks, I think, really important because you get into conference play and you're playing 2 games a week. It's hard to practice. To get the type of work that you need in practice, you can go over things, but you really can't put things together like you can when you have 3 or 4 days without a game.
How do you feel like they've sort of handled that loss and, gone back out to work?
They didn't like it. They, again, noticed their mistakes. I've always said that really good teams can learn off a win, but I think almost all teams learn something from a loss. If you're a competitor at all, you watch that film and see the 1 or 2 things that you could have done differently. We're going to make mistakes. We just got to cut them down. And when you have a 1-possession game, those mistakes are magnified. And so the guys are conscious of their effort, and they watch the film. Each one of them, knew 1, 2, 3 things they could have done differently that could have changed the outcome of that game. So they're competitors. It bothered them, and I think that's why we had good practices Tuesday and Wednesday, because they saw that film and were disappointed.
The schedule's been like this before, but just getting that, that conference taste and then a little bit of a break before getting right back into full-on conference play. How does that, in a way, sort of help the team just get a feel of that conference play before really going into it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I'd rather, have your non-conference and then start your conference games kind of all together was, my preference. But obviously TV or nobody asked me about that. But no, they have those early conference games, to get some TV obligations done. And then, we have the 18 conference games, after the new year. But playing a couple games like that, it's just like playing any good non-conference game. There's really no difference between going to USC and coming home and playing UCLA than playing those 3 games in Vegas. They all prepare you for what's coming. A more physical game, bigger, probably more athletic opponents. So no, it does prepare you.
Charlie Baker was talking this week, Dan, about there's obviously there's been discussions for a little while now, but it sounds like they're closer to a decision about whether to expand to 72 or 76 for the tournament. Not this year, but probably for maybe as soon as the following year. Your perspective on if the field expands a little bit more, are those good numbers, right numbers, bigger, stay where we're at 68?
Yeah, it's one of those questions that everybody debates all the time. There are 364 teams trying to get in the tournament. We have the smallest percentage of teams that go to postseason for our championship. So it seems natural that you'd try to get those numbers a little bit in line with some of the other sports. But I think it's great for players to be involved with it. You don't want to water it down so much that, it's not a special to get in. You want Selection Sunday to be, something that is really special. Everybody has a little bit of an opportunity to get in the tournament with their conference tournament. So that's always kind of been a caveat or something that they could use to say, hey, we're offsetting our small numbers in the tournament, but everybody has a chance to get in with the conference tournament. So I don't know. Whatever they decide, obviously it'll still be a great tournament. I don't think adding 4 teams or 8 teams or whatever they're talking about adding is going to dilute the tournament any. There are a lot of teams trying to compete at a very high level. And when you have 300 and, I'm not sure the exact number, but I think it's 364, 365 teams trying to get in, that's a small percentage of the number of teams that are participating. So it'll be interesting, and there'll be a lot of debate about it, but it'll still be a great tournament, whatever they decide.
Had a technical foul call on a player 3 of the last 4 or 5 games. Just how do you corral that in? And just
Really disappointed. I'm very disappointed. Supremes was kind of a reaction, but Bam's and Keyshawn's unacceptable. And, talking about it's not going to be enough, then we'll take the next step. But I am very disappointed, and I told the team that, and just don't need it. It's a selfish foul, and I try not to get them, and our players definitely don't need to get them.
In years past, teams had some issues with buy-in. What do you feel like this team's buy-in is? And just overall, do you feel like they're on schedule where you would want them to be at this point?
With the exception of one team, I think our buy-in's been pretty good. It's just execution of what we're trying to accomplish. So I think the guys believe in what we're doing. Like any sport, it's getting them to do the things that are tough or that are no fun to be successful. Being really physical and diving on a loose ball, blocking out, sprinting when it hurts. Those things are tough. Everybody likes the give me an open 3 or get me a shot, But the tough things are usually the things that separate teams. And so getting guys to believe that and understand that has always been a big part of trying to get a team to perform. I imagine that's true in any sport. But for our sport, it's really important. And that's why, like I said, I was disappointed with deflections. Means we're not up, active enough defensively. When I say our block-out rate is, we're not paying attention to, stepping out there and hitting somebody. So we've got to take care of the things that I said aren't fun to do. And we get better at those things. Usually the win rate goes up.
You've been refining it already, by way of rotation and minutes and those things, but these next 3 games also a chance to kind of more cement that entering the lion's share of league play.
Nothing's etched in stone with our guys. We have not separated ourselves either through games or practice the way I'd hoped. And so, I told the players that these next 2 weeks would be important for some guys, moving up and trying to get some more time. Some guys have taken that to heart, had really hard practices. So we'll see. It's a long season. We've only played 10 games, 11 games. We're a long way from the finish line. So there'll be a lot of movement, and hopefully we can continue to stay healthy. Other than Nate missing a little practice with the hip flexor, everybody's been practicing, so it gives us an opportunity to have some competition for spots.
Nothing that'll jeopardize it for Sunday, though. Or would it?
I don't know. I mean, we're still seeing. Oh, Nate, you mean? Yeah. No, he'll play.
Bamba was the MVP of Vegas, and then last week just 6 points and 1 trip to the free throw line, 6 turnovers. How do you get back to where he was prior to last week? I realize players go through ebbs and flows, but what was the difference, I guess?
That's a good question. He was disappointed, and I was disappointed in his performance, and I'm not sure why, but he did not have a good week. He really underperformed, and he's going to have to jump back into it. Now, I will say he had 2 good practices, and that's the first step, but he did not have a good week. The turnovers, bad decisions, inactivity defensively. I'm not speaking out of school because I've told him all these things, and he knows it. He watched the film. He knows he's got to play better. He did have a good week, and he's one of the big reasons we were successful in Vegas. But he did not have a good week last week.
Keyshawn really seemed to hit his stride. Is this some of that build-up from missing out on the later part of last year?
A lot of it's just experience. He's been around a long time, and so that experience is starting to pay off. I've always said that, if you love the game and you sit there and watch it, it does make you a little bit more appreciative of the game. You want to play, you want to do things right. You get a little better understanding of the game sitting there watching it. So in that regard, I don't think it hurt him at all. I think he's playing well. We still need him to get up a little more defensively, use his quickness a little bit more defensively. I think he is using it on the offensive end, but I would like to see him use his quickness a little bit more on the defensive end.
What's the scouting report on Stephen at Boston?
Very good defensive team. Kyle does a good job. He worked with Bill Self for a long time, so defensively they're going to get up, put their hands on you. Really good defensive team, very good rebounding team. Physical, we're going to have to be ready to play. And they're used to going on the road, playing the bye games, and they'll get after us. So we're going to need to be ready to go. They are an athletic, deep team.